Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So it looks like hackers have figured out how to jailbreak the PlayStation 5, and is Horizon Zero Dawn getting a remake already? We have those topics and more to cover, but before we get started, if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet, consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell, and we can keep you up to date with gaming news. Now let's get started. So first, we have a tweet here that picked up a lot of attention, and this is not the person that discovered the jailbreak, but it does show that on the PlayStation 5 it's been jailbroken, and the user was able to install PT, which was a discontinued game from the PlayStation Store. And the jailbreak relies on the WebKit vulnerability, and it's only working on firmware 4.03, which was released last October, so a year ago. And they say that lower firmwares may work eventually, although the exploit may need some tweaking, and higher firmwares will not work because they don't have that WebKit vulnerability. And while this is worthy to note, because I believe it's the first jailbreak for the PlayStation 5, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, this really won't affect most people. If you were looking into jailbreaking your console, you would have had to have had a firmware on it that's a year old. Now I'm sure Sony's really looking into this, and considering it seems like this has already been patched, I don't know if there's a whole lot they can do about it, other than maybe going after people who post how to do the jailbreak. But considering we're just 2 years into the console release and it already has a jailbreak, I think it's kind of significant. And we'll just have to wait and see if anything else happens for higher firmwares. Next, there's been several reports that Horizon Zero Dawn may be getting a remake. We have this first report here from mpfirst.com. Horizon Zero Dawn remake/remaster in works for PS5, Horizon multiplayer game in development. And I did see this information corroborated by VGC, and in the article here it says, our source didn't elaborate whether or not this was a built from the ground up style of remake. However, we were told that the remake features an improved fighting system, ambient occlusion and such, overhauled textures, and better animations, with new character models to match those found in the sequel, Horizon Forbidden West. And they also added that this remake would bring accessibility options that the sequel introduced, and that there would probably be different graphics modes such as equality versus performance options. And some people were wondering if this is something that's really needed this quickly. The PS4 version did get a patch for the PS5 that gives you 60 FPS, but we have seen other remakes like The Last of Us Part 1 that didn't change the gameplay but did improve graphics and still cost $70. So perhaps maybe if you're picking this up for the first time, maybe you would opt for the PS5 version. Now I'm not sure how many people would go out and specifically buy a second copy, maybe some of your hardcore fans. But this does kind of piggyback on reports that Horizon Zero Dawn was going to be getting a TV show. And just like we saw Last of Us Part 1 get released back in September, we're also seeing a TV show coming to HBO sometime next year. And we've seen these TV shows create a renewed interest in a game. For example, we just saw Cyberpunk 2077 get a huge spike in players right after the Netflix show started. So let me know in the comments if this is something that you would pick up, especially if you already own the previous version. And I still can't believe we're getting a remake of a game that just came out like 5 years ago, and we still don't have a remake of Zelda 2 Adventure of Link. And it looks like Sony has a lot of confidence in the PlayStation VR2. We have a headline here from Bloomberg: Sony betting big on next VR headset with increased production plan. Now, mass production of the PlayStation VR2, according to this report, began in September and apparently hasn't had any supply chain issues. And it looks like they're really going to be cranking these out. The article here says Sony Group Corp plans to make 2 million units of the PlayStation VR2 headset by March next year, people familiar with the matter said. Now, the article mentions that the PlayStation 4 VR1 took 8 months to reach 1 million in sales. So this is definitely very ambitious, and Sony has yet to give an official price or release date for the PlayStation VR2, but many experts expect it to be quite pricey, at least as much as the PlayStation 5 itself, if not more. So let me know in the comments if you think the PlayStation VR2 is going to be that hot of an item, or do you think it may take quite a while for them to sell 2 million units? And finally, we have a lawsuit that could have some consequences when it comes to taking real-life people and putting them into video games. We have the headline here from VGC. Tattoo artist successfully sues 2K for replicating their designs on a WWE 2K wrestler. Here has the results of that lawsuit. It says the jury determined that Alexander was entitled to $3,750 in damages. It also determined that since none of the game's profits came as a direct result of her tattoos being included, she wasn't entitled to any further compensation. Now, obviously, $3,750 is not a whole lot of money for this type of lawsuit. I'm sure the legal fees were way beyond that. But this could give pause to some developers as to whether or not they want to faithfully recreate a real human being. So you could end up with developers just wanting to play it safe and maybe figure out ways to cover up tattoos that could have some copyright on them, or perhaps just leave the tattoos off completely. And that's all we have for today. Did anything we cover catch your attention? Are you surprised to see a jailbreak for the PlayStation 5 just 2 years after its release? And do you think developers may hesitate with putting tattoos in games that use real-life people? Or do you think maybe that judgment was so low that pretty much deters anyone else from trying to sue? Drop a comment about those topics or anything else we covered today. I want to thank you for watching, and be good.